Suing the defendant for $6,000 because of the defamatory statements he made in an online review, which cost my business, Happy Baby Headquarters, a considerable sum of money. In fact, exactly $6,000.
What kind of business is Happy Baby Headquarters? What kind of business is this?
We teach parents how to handle their children from about birth to 9 months.
Okay. So it's like a postpartum care center.
Yes. Well, okay. And guiding lessons, socialization, mobilization.
Okay, great. And how long have you are the owner of this business?
I am the owner of this business.
How long have you owned this business?
I have owned it for over 10 years.
Okay, so that's a very long time and veteran in your space, I'm sure. And how did you come to know this defendant? Well,
Mr. Bennett came to our headquarters after signing up online and brought his daughter, Eliza, in. And we had a new staff person. She wasn't that familiar with how we do things, but he was a father, and she had not met a father before in one of the classes. So
she had never dealt with a father.
So she asked him if he was there to drop off his daughter to meet her mother.
Okay.
So he came into class, and we got started with the routine. And one of the lessons we gave was teaching people how to put on diapers without making their babies cry and make it a safe and comfortable process. So I had my eye on Mr. Bennett just in case he needed a little extra help. So I went over when he was changing the diaper, and I suggested that could I show him an easier way to do it. And he was very defensive, and he said in a loud voice, don't touch my baby. And I was shocked by how harsh he was. And that was just the beginning.
Do you normally touch the babies, ma'am?
Oh, I may, but only with the parents there.
Okay, so how did this go from there? So he was upset with you. He continued to stay in the class? Or?
Yes, he stayed in the class, but then he continued to be disruptive. And my whole point is that his online review states that we hate men and we're discriminatory and we're horrible people. He said all those things, and they are untrue. And we were trying to be helpful, and I was trying to help him settle in. So then after the diaper incident, he made a remark because one of the women went in the corner to feed her child, which is, of course, the healthiest thing you can do for a baby.
Okay.
And he made a big clown voice remark saying, "Everybody avert your eyes," which, of course, totally embarrassed the woman. And
okay, let me check in with Mr. Bennett, because this is a lot that's being said about you, sir. Were you making a ruckus about a woman feeding her own child, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. However, when I first entered the place of business of Ms. Kaplan, the receptionist, she said, "Is the mother going to be coming later to the appointment?" Once I informed her, I actually scheduled it. She actually had a shocked look on her face. And when I actually entered the class, I realized I was the only male there. I personally had no issue with that. But currently, during her lessons, Ms. Kaplan felt the need to always embarrass me and always criticize everything I was doing. And for her not to even know my daughter and feel like she needed to change my daughter when I've already been changing my daughter for the past 6 months, I felt that was very disrespectful.
Wow.
As far as the other mothers in the room, I realized the tensions were very high. So
you think the other mothers were uncomfortable with you being the only father?
Yes, as well as Ms. Kaplan's energy towards me also raised the tensions with the other mothers where they were a little bit defensive towards me. So currently, I just want to just say a joke, lighten up the mood a little bit. A couple of the mothers did laugh at the joke, but Ms. Kaplan took it upon herself to tell everyone, "Hello, Mr. Bennett, this is an adult class with babies, and you're not the baby here," which I felt was extremely unprofessional on her end.
Woo! Okay. At what point did you leave the facility, sir?
Well, I left the facility. After a while, I realized she started attacking me and kept belittling me throughout the lessons and the programs she was showing the other mothers. Every single time she said I was being disruptive, other mothers were talking amongst themselves. She didn't.
So you think you were being singled out, sir, because you were the father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Was he being singled out because he was the only dad? Or was he making the whole room uncomfortable and then blaming everyone else? What stands out to me is that both of them walked into the class already expecting something. The owner walked in expecting the dad to need extra help, that the dad was less experienced, that she needed to watch him, and he walked in expecting the women to not want him there. He expected that he would be judged, and he also expected that he needed to prove himself. What's interesting is when both people come in expecting tension, they're usually the ones that create it. But his reaction pattern matters too. Instead of saying, actually, I'm comfortable changing my own daughter, he goes to, don't touch my baby, or a loud joke across the room, or the public review saying that they hate men. This is a pattern of taking a small slight and turning it into a big battle. When you look at the breastfeeding comment, he says he was trying to lighten the mood, but people often use the I was joking when they're uncomfortable and they don't know how to handle the moment they're in. The owner also escalated it. The deeper patterns you can observe. For him, he seems very sensitive to being made to feel incompetent or being excluded. And for her, she seems very used to being in charge and may not realize that she is treating fathers different because she is used to helping mothers. So neither one backed down. Both kept reading into the other person's behavior in the worst possible way. He saw discrimination. She saw disruption. And once people decide what story they're going to tell themselves about you, they start interpreting everything through that lens. Let's keep going.
Ms. Kaplan, you do realize that in today's economy and the way the workforce is playing out, that many, many, many women are making more money than their male significant others. And so they are electing to be the breadwinners in their home while men are stepping into more, let's say, nurturing and caretaking of the children in the home.
And I absolutely support that. I want children to get the very best care that they can get, and that's the whole basis of our school, and we built a whole network and community around that, and we have had other fathers, and they never made a complaint. But Mr. Bennett was not discriminated against. He was actually disruptive. The next thing he said after the whole feeding incident was a comment about babies, and he said, well, they say that there's not an ugly baby, but I guess they were wrong.
Whose
and of
baby
course,
did he call ugly? Mr. Bennett, did you call somebody baby ugly?
Yes, Your Honor. However...
Not yes. Okay, go ahead,
However, Your Honor, you have to understand...
I'm trying to ride with you, Mr. Bennett, but you're making it difficult, sir. Go ahead.
Again, other women did laugh. Clearly, the woman's baby that I was referring to, she wasn't clearly happy with the joke that
I would not have been happy if you called my baby ugly either, sir.
In the beginning stages, I feel like, Your Honor, all babies look like aliens when they first come out.
Okay.
And then in a couple...
Mr. Bennett, let me stop you. Mr. Bennett, do you have a part-time career in comedy and stand-up? Is that a part of your...
No, Your Honor.
No, so this is just how you are in real life?
Of course, yes.
Okay. Ms. Kaplan, let's get to, you are asking for quite a bit of money, $6,000. You're saying that is lost revenue. Can you go ahead and provide any receipts?
Yes,
that you have? Give that to my bailiff, ma'am.
I have 15 emails of from customers who actually had booked classes and they canceled them because they think we hate men.
Well, do you hate men, ma'am?
No, not at all. I'm married. I enjoy men. So.
Okay, well, there's that. Okay, this is from you, Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
I see you've given the facility 1 star. This business is not dad-friendly. I was the only father in Kaplan's class. I was uncomfortable the entire time. They kept thinking I needed extra help. He says he felt discriminated against as the only man. People should not use parenting classes, especially dads who are not welcome. Don't bother with these horrible people. And then I do see 15 emails, just like you said. Well, I can no longer support your business. Give me a refund. And ultimately, you lost $6,000 worth of business, you say?
So far, and he has ruined our reputation. And I even sent him an email requesting that perhaps he could take the review down because it was affecting our business.
And what did he say?
No.
Okay. Well, sir, do you have any evidence that you want the court to consider?
No, I am the evidence, Your Honor. The way that I was treated, like I said, from the moment that I stepped in, and I couldn't even complete the full actual lesson due to the disrespect and the belittlement that Ms. Kaplan kept treating me throughout the whole entire session with me and Eliza. And she actually pulled me one-on-one and let me know I was being disruptive when there were other mothers, like I mentioned before, that were still disturbing the class, but she felt...
What were the other mothers doing?
They were just talking amongst themselves when she was trying to teach, like, different swaddling positions.
I understand, but talking amongst themselves is a little different than calling people's baby ugly out loud and saying, avert your eyes to the baby. breastfeeding, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And may I add, he also, when the babies were crawling around to meet each other, he told his daughter to go ask some woman for her phone number. I mean, all the women thought this was totally inappropriate, as did I.
He sent his baby as his wingman?
That's about it, yes.
No, I don't think we're supposed to be doing that, right, Elijah?
At all.
Sir, what you say about that, Mr. Bennett?
Yeah, Your Honor, that joke was clearly...
Oh, that's another joke. Everything is a joke. Okay.
Yes, but...
You seen a pattern, Mr. Bennett?
Yes, Your Honor.
These jokes are not landing.
You might think the jokes weren't funny, that he was being inappropriate, that he was being disruptive, and you're not wrong. He keeps using "I was joking" every time he says something that crosses the line. Then when they react badly, he acts like the problem is that they are too sensitive. That is the pattern, and the joke is the shield. What this does, it lets him say something awkward or inappropriate, so he tests the room, and then back away from it if people don't like it. So every time that he feels uncomfortable, excluded, or insecure, he tries to take control of the room by being funny. But the real problem is that he is not reading the room. When people start making jokes at someone else's expense, eventually it stops looking like humor and it starts looking like hostility. The owner's not perfect either. The assumptions she came in with probably made him feel singled out. But instead of him calmly saying, "I feel like I'm being treated differently," he escalated to the review saying that they hate men, dads don't go here, and then when he refused to take it all down, even though he said those things. So that's where it stops being, "This hurts my feelings," and turns into punishment. Is he wanted to be seen as unfairly judged, but he kept giving people reasons to react to him. And once you do that enough, it's hard to tell where the bias ends and your own behavior begins. Let's find out the verdict.
Sir, this is just unfortunate. You know what I mean? Again, I just want to flag for everybody in the courtroom that Mr. Bennett, despite his horrific joke-telling time and placement, does represent an emerging model of the American family. So it is important, Ms. Kaplan, that if you're going to continue this successful 10 years of business, particularly in this postpartum care space, you might have to go above and beyond as it relates to making men comfortable in your facility. Now, I agree, if somebody's being inappropriate, it is your right and your responsibility to pipe that down. But I have to take this man at his word, despite any other evidence, when he says that he was uncomfortable. And that is exactly what he put in this review, ma'am. He's saying, that he felt uncomfortable. He's saying he felt discriminated against. And, one of the first things you told me was, well, he was a man, and so I felt the need to keep an eye on him. I felt the need as the only father to make sure he knew what he was doing. It is giving indications of presumptions of inadequacy because he's a father. So that's a slippery slope towards discrimination. So this court takes him at the truthfulness as to what he put in this review, and we all know that truth is an affirmative defense to a defamation claim.
Well, we are certainly not
actually. We're not going back and forth, ma'am. This is my ruling. The court has ultimately heard you both out, and I do rule in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
Well, what do you think about the ruling? Two things can be true at once. The second you start treating someone differently because of what you assume they need, you open the door for them to start feeling singled out. That does not mean he handled it well, because clearly he did not. That brings us to our big life lesson. If people feel judged the moment they walk into a room, they often start acting out the role they think you already gave them. So do better. Don't assume someone needs more help, because they are different from who usually shows up. And if you feel judged, do not turn yourself into a stereotype you are trying to fight. The way to prove people wrong is not to act it out. It is to stay grounded. Final question. Was he unfairly singled out because he was the only dad? Or did his own behavior create the problem? Put it in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, follow, and share, and I will see you again soon.